Let me tell you something. I would not want to be on that list for no amount of money. Goodness, you're talking about nervous. I mean, and you really have no control. And I have some great friends that were first ballot Hall of Famers, and even them, Warren Moon, Troy Aikman, Dan Marino, all these guys very nervous the night before. These are the people that are basically giving you the final credentials to your career. It's as if you were going for some type of certification, and you need these 48 voters to be able to validate the work that you've done. Because this is the vote that changes all the conversations. When you go into the barber shop, Nick, they always talk, man, how good was that guy? Well, is he in the Hall of Fame? That's the distinction. There's only 310 of us over the last 97 years, and 20,000 men have played this game, only 3 of it in the Hall. So this is very, very special. It's even more special for me. Ray Lewis, one of the best linebackers I ever played against in the National League, he's going to go in as a first ballot. Randy Moss, one of my teammates, a guy who called me on the phone as a 21-year-old and said, I want to be the best receiver ever. Can you help me get there? And now to be able to watch him, he's on the doorstep, the drama of T.O. not being in. Brian Urlacher, does he get in? Other great players, John Lynch, Brian Dawkins. Like, it is an amazing time, but I'm glad I'm on this side.
All right, so let's talk about what this process is. You've told me a great story about the late sports writer Edwin Pope and how he presented Dan Marino. Let me just tell the audience real quick. There's 48 people in this room.
Yes.
32 of them are beat writers for each individual city. Whatever team you are most associated with, obviously
yes.
with Marino, it's the only team, it's the Dolphins. That beat writer presents your case. Sometimes those presentations last an hour, hour and a half. Then once all the presentations are done, they vote. How did Edwin Pope present Dan Marino?
I present Dan Marino, the greatest thrower that's ever thrown the football, and sat down.
Well, give it some contrast. Like, how do other people do it? How long does it take? How many papers do they go up with? How long are they speaking?
Well, my presenter presented me 5 times, and part of it was we're not voting for Tim Brown or Andre Reed until Cris Carter gets in. Neither one of these receivers are as good as Cris Carter. When you have 130 touchdowns, when you have more touchdowns than Lynn Swann and John Stallworth combined, more touchdowns than Jim Brown, that's not enough to be in. So it was more of a debate argument compared to a presentation.
So that's how Dan Marino was presented. Is that what they'll do for Ray Lewis? Just say his name, say how many years he played? How will they present Ray?
They don't need to say anything. Anything that they say besides his name is going to be extra. Now, what he's done on the field, not only as a leader, but as a champion, a multi-champion for a franchise that was an expansion franchise. They gave up football in Cleveland. You know what they birthed? They birthed the Baltimore Ravens, which turned out to be Ray Lewis's franchise. So without a question, sit down, waste your breath. Let them argue about people who don't know if they're going to get in.
Can we just take a step back for people that don't understand? When is this happening? How many people are involved in something like this? And then is there anything else that happens before the actual vote between now and February 3rd?
As Nick had mentioned, they're down to the 15 finalists. They will meet on the Saturday before Super Bowl Sunday.
They are
the 48.
The 48. Now, there are 32 beat writers that are Hall of Fame voters. And then there are 16 other independent people that cover the game nationally, but they have a vote. Now, you have to realize they take this very serious. They know they change the trajectory of people's career with a yes or a no vote. So it's well represented in the room. We have 2 Hall of Famers. We have James Lofton and Dan Fouts. We, as the Hall of Fame group, we will select 5 guys. We will have it on one piece of paper, and either Dan or James will present it to the group as who we think at the end should be, in our eyes, who are the Hall of Famers. So every player that's on that list will have a presenter. It will be at least 10 hours of debate, back and forth, back and forth. And the biggest debate will be, is Randy Moss a first ballot Hall of Famer? And if he's not, why wasn't T.O.? And or if the 2 years that you've held T.O. out, are you going to hold Randy Moss accountable as a bad teammate or his lack of effort in certain areas? I didn't think they should have held T.O. out. I don't think they should hold Randy Moss out, but this will be probably the #1 topic in that meeting.
If you were, I'm going to put you on the spot here, and then I want to talk about T.O. and Randy, but if you were presenting for Randy, I know you don't have an hour, Can you give me the short version of what you'd present for Randy? Because I know you believe he's a Hall of Famer.
He's the best athlete that ever played wide receiver. He was a Hall of Famer the first day I met him. The first day he showed up on a raggedy field with no type of uniform on, just a guy with a dream. Now, did Randy have his ups and downs? Yes, but he changed the game. People talk about Allen Iverson. Randy Moss is the Allen Iverson of wide receivers. I mean, he is cold-blooded. At 6'4", he is the fastest wide receiver that I have seen that was a good receiver. I'm talking about track speed, 4.3, 4.3 flat at 6'4", run the slant, run the inside dig. Probably one of the smartest wide receivers and football players that I've ever played with. I know he had the comment, I play when I want to play. He was saying, I don't get motivated by Cris Carter or Denny Green. I play the game because I love the game. I've loved the game since I was a kid. Randy Moss should be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
And I think some of the audience is going to say, well, of course, and he's going to be. But no wide receiver's been a first ballot Hall of Famer since Jerry Rice.
Yep.
And prior to Jerry Rice, who was it?
Steve Largent.
Steve Largent. Two guys in the last 30-some years at that position been first ballot Hall of Famers. And I'm gonna tread on dangerous territory here. But I want to talk about my partner, and I want to talk about these two other wide receivers. Because Cris Carter cannot talk about this stuff without becoming emotional. Cris and I are incredibly close friends. We talk about, he teaches me how to be a better parent, better husband, better broadcaster. He's one of my best friends in the world. He can talk about almost anything without being emotional. This one he can't, because it means it was the capstone of everything he worked for his whole life. But Cris isn't the only one that's worked hard. T.O. worked hard. Randy worked hard. And the idea that T.O.'s had to wait, I don't care if you don't like T.O. You want to know something? I don't like T.O. I think the guy does not seem to be a pleasurable person to be around. I don't think he's probably a great teammate. But he has scored the third most touchdowns in the history of this damn sport. The second most yards in the history of this damn sport. Randy, the second most touchdowns, the fourth most yards. And people can miss me with the yeah buts. The yeah buts matter for the fringe guys. These guys are not fringe guys. And the reason I worry they're going to make Randy wait, and the reason I'm not surprised they made T.O. wait, is because they made my partner wait. When Cris retired, he was the second most prolific receiver ever, and he almost got in on the first ballot. And then the second ballot, he somehow took a step backwards. And then after the second ballot, Cris had some choice words for him. And they wouldn't let him in until Cris kissed the ring. Till he came in and said, if you're not going to vote for me, vote for another wide receiver. And the guys in the room decided, okay, now he's humbled himself. That's not what this needs to be about. And the one last thing I want to add to this. It is, Cris, when you did your speech, you announced your high school coach, your brothers, your best friends. You said, we're all in the Hall of Fame. And you were lucky, as best I can tell, none of those people in your closest circle in the 6 years you had to wait passed away. But that happens. You have people that they're close family members while they're waiting, they pass, and they don't get to see it. And it's not right when guys have accomplished what Ray, and I don't think Ray will have a problem, but T.O. and Randy accomplished to make them wait. I hope they don't make T.O. wait anymore, and I hope Randy gets in first time.
In the few minutes we have left, CC, and again, I so much of having just met you was Nick telling me honestly about who you are and why this is so important to you. But getting into the Hall of Fame, does this change your career or does this change your life?
It definitely changes your life. If it changed your life, it would have to change your career, because in February they're going to award a Super Bowl trophy. It's Super Bowl 52. There's 53 guys, a bunch of coaches, owners, front office people. They're going to get a ring. They're going to be celebrated as the best team in pro football in the world. And if you happen to be with a franchise like I was in my 16-year career that doesn't win a Super Bowl, it seems like we have the haves and have-nots in the NFL. If you don't win a Super Bowl, they like to put you to the side. But if you do win a Super Bowl, it seems like they like to make you a better player, even though your stats might have been better than the people that won Super Bowls. So for me, I didn't win a Super Bowl. So getting in the Hall, this is my Super Bowl. This is my everything. It made every day that I trained at a level that I thought I could die, it made it all worth it. It made my mama moving me to another town, it made it worth it. It made 1,100 catches going across the middle tore up my shoulder. It made it worth it. I tore up my right ankle. It made it worth it. It ends all the conversation. Well, how good is Cris Carter? I don't have to never answer that question no more. Is he better than Jerry Rice? Is he better than Michael Irvin? We don't have to answer that because we all on the same team. Jerry play out wide, I play in the slot, Michael Irvin play out on the other side. We on the same team, and we got nothing but the best quarterbacks throwing to us. We don't lose one game, Jenna. So, yes, it will change not only your life, but it changes your arc as a player and the way people perceive you.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.